Hello everyone, thanks for watching the video today. My name is Natalie Armstrong Moton with Marketing Resolution, and I have the great privilege and honor of interviewing one of my dear friends and colleagues, Esther Carson Blewell. How are you, Esther?
I'm great. It's fun to see you.
Nice to see you too. Esther, I want to interview you, not necessarily about your mediation practice or your therapy practice. I really want to talk to you today about the book that you've written. And that I've read, and to be honest, I've read it more than once because that's how much I loved it and got from it. And so I want to chat to you a little bit about the book that you wrote, Getting Unstuck, and ask you just some general questions. What prompted you to write this book?
Well, I had been stuck for a good part of my life, had done a lot of work and life was good and things were fine, more than fine. But I'd learned a lot about people, learned a lot about business, and then learned quite a bit about conflict, and that informed my work with my therapy patients exponentially. And it turned out that I was very, very conflict averse. For myself, I was good at advocating for other people and not myself. So I was very stuck in that space. And so that was troubling and difficult. And when I learned the skills for how to deal with conflict, and that it was really an attitude and some skills, it actually changed the quality of my life, my relationships and my life. And I thought that was pretty great. So the more I started sharing those skills and thinking about it and integrating it into my life and my work, really everything changed. And so my clients were saying, wow, teach us this, tell us this, where can we learn this? And I began to think about a book, and here it is.
Well, you and I have talked about this book amongst many other things. And one of the things that struck me most about your book, and you and I have known each other for decades, but one of the things that struck me most about this book was learning so much about you that I didn't previously know. Mm-hmm. And the book that you've written isn't just an honest recounting of your life. It is a brutally honest recounting of your life.
Yeah.
It's something that I don't know that I would be brave enough to do. So I want to honor your bravery in putting it into print. But I wonder, was it difficult to be that brutally honest? And how did your friends and family receive that kind of honesty from you?
Well, I was working on the book with my friend Martha, and I was reliving in order to recount some of the things. I was shamed, humiliated, scared, sad, mad, all those things. And working with a partner, working with Martha, and having the opportunity to speak about those things with someone who could actually hear what was going on and not crack up and walk away and judge. And I was able to kind of move up onto the balcony, is something I talk about a lot, and I could have some perspective about it because a lot of those things happened a long time ago. And one of the things that I have learned in life is to learn, to never stop learning. And so really the point of the book is not my story. It's really about what can I learn, what can anybody learn, and that it's possible to learn and not be stuck. And probably one of the things is that I was unwilling to be defined by some of the things that happened to me. And that's one of the lessons in the book. So once I got to that place, the book is not really about my story. It is my story, but it's about the life lessons that I wish I had learned and didn't learn and needed to learn and all of that. So it's really about each reader, as you talk about, seeing some of yourself in the book, like, oh boy, I can't even imagine that, or oh boy, I can relate to that. And that's really the point. In working with my clients, as I started sharing what I was learning with them, I was very clear that they didn't really care about what I was saying. They would go, oh yes, or oh no. And that's really the fun of learning. As for my family, I don't think they've all read it all. My sister has only read parts of it. My son read it mostly through the conversation and eyes of his wife, and I credit her a lot with helping me repair my relationship with my son, which was kind of a mess because I didn't know what I was doing. So, but that what you just said is something I've heard a lot. Like, I can't believe it. Like, well, you really wrote that, and you really did that, and that's really what happened. And gosh, I never would have known. So yeah, but I think that's true for everybody. Everybody has a story, different from mine, but everybody has a story, and that's exciting and fun to learn.
It really was. I will admit to you right now, I did read it with judgment. Because I knew you before, I knew that you were intelligent. I knew that you were funny. I knew that you were generous. I knew that you were strong. I knew you under lots of different labels. But I really didn't understand until I read your book how just human you were to achieve all of those labels that I had assigned you, and how brave you were in the midst of all of these things that happened. And I think I didn't give credit to you for that, and I probably didn't give credit to myself for my own story until I started going through your book. And I think that a lot of people will perhaps have that same experience, that we're much better humans than we sometimes give ourselves credit for. And so one of the things I like about your book is that you go chapter by chapter and you do tell your story, but then you flip it around so easily and say, now how does this apply to you? What can you take from this? How can you learn from this? How can you move forward? How can you recognize the lesson that was there and give yourself credit for it? And I love that aspect of your book.
So since we're talking about something hard and deep, and it's one thing for me to say, I was stuck in the area of conflict for myself. And when I learned the skills and worked through it, it changed the quality of my relationships in my life. Great. And that's true, and it did. But taking a conversation to a deeper level, what that looked like was, and I think maybe you will know this, because I was always guarded. And once you've read the book, you can understand why. I was always defended a little bit because I was always afraid of being thrown away and all of that. And I was rarely forthcoming because I never believed anybody would either, there was nothing I really wanted to say, like certainly not about myself. So I could talk about stuff, but not about me. So all those things combined made my life a little guarded. And so I missed out on a lot, and it would take quite a lot for me to be willing to trust another person, to be accepting and not, because there's a lot of stuff to judge in what I did and didn't do. And so when I understood myself better and knew, now I know today that no matter what happens, I can handle myself, and I won't be ashamed, and I won't give myself up and all that stuff. And so, and I've made peace with all of the stuff, and I've forgiven when I have to and made amends and all that kind of stuff. So I've cleaned things up as much as possible with other people and accepted myself as much as possible. And learning from the mistakes is part of what made it possible to move forward. It's like, I don't do that anymore. And so, but and so the point is, as a therapist, I know that if I can do that, anybody can. It's not magic. It's not rocket science. It's not brain surgery. And you and I learn the same skills, so we know that. But when we don't learn those things, it inhibits the quality of your life.
Well, and there's a difference between knowing it and understanding it.
Right.
And the lovely part about your book is that you get reminded of what you already know, but that there's a lesson in it that lets you move it to the next level and actually make something applicable, make something a little bit more enlightened, make something a little easier to forget or forgive or move past. And so that really, for I think the reader, is the magic of the book. Getting to know you is lovely. Using you as the good example of a human being is a treat. But being able to be completely selfish and apply each of these chapters to ourselves, that's the really yummy part about the book you've written.
If one is ready to do that, it's yummy. But, you know, it's an attitude thing, right? People are ready when they're ready, which is one of the lessons, and not a moment sooner, right? What I had to be ready for that. Anyone has to be ready to learn a lesson and all that stuff. So, and sometimes we are, and sometimes we're not.
Well, that's true. It's just like in our mediations.
Yeah.
If you provide someone with the right answer at the wrong time, it's the wrong answer. You have to have
Correct.
the right answer at the right time to the right person. That's where the real magic happens. So, well, I really want to once again just applaud the hard work that I know it took to write this book, and the forethought and the love and the experience and the courage that it took to put all of this into print. And I implore everyone to pick it up, read it, give it as a Christmas gift, a Hanukkah gift, but spread it around far and wide.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Thanks so much for talking with me, Esther.
Thank you.